What's going on, guys? Nathan here, bringing you a sort of Borderlands 2 tip and trick video. Now, what this video is actually explaining the value equation, or what I have invented as a value equation for the value of guns in Borderlands 2 to just pretty much help you decide which gun is better when put up against each other, you know, comparing apples to apples and stuff like that. So when I was actually researching on the internet to actually see if somebody had already made this type of equation, I wasn't really satisfied because nobody really gave exact answers in whatever websites I searched for. Instead, when people ask for equations like what I have made up, people basically said that, oh, you can't really put a value to a gun. You can't quantify the value of a gun in Borderlands 2. You know, you need to like feel it in game, get a feel for it. You know, see how fast enemies die and like the view model and everything. And it's I personally disagree with that whole spiel, because I think that if you are given stats, numbered stats in a game, then you can most definitely combine those stats in one way, shape, or form to get an actual value of what those stats represent. So without further ado, this is my notepad equation for the value of an actual gun in Borderlands 2. Now, this is a rough estimate. These values right here, this divided by 2, and then the divided by 2 is a rough estimate. But so far, I think this is the most accurate concerning what you would put into a value equation. Now, stick with me here because I'm going to be doing some math and I'm going to be explaining a lot of stuff, but this does matter to just kind of prove why this equation is how it is. So let's just simplify everything right now. Let's just get rid of these divided by 2 values and just ignore the reload speed for now, and we'll actually delete this rate of fire as well. So I'll go into all of this one by one. So on the numerator of this equation, you have damage times magazine size. Now, obviously, if you have damage, you know, damage per bullet, so let's say you have like a 34 damage, and then you have like a 9 magazine size. Let's say we're firing a revolver. Obviously, you're going to want to multiply those values to get the total damage that you have in your clip when it is full. Now, when you add in the value of rate of fire, and we'll actually add that in again. When you add in the value or factor of rate of fire, this now includes the essence of time. So this value right here represents the damage that is in your magazine when it's full, and then this value represents how fast you can actually deal out this damage per unit of time. So obviously with your rate of fire, I don't think Borderlands 2 has a weird way of measuring rate of fire, and also reload speed, but rate of fire doesn't really represent an actual value in the game. I think it's just kind of assigned a number. I mean, I'm sure it represents some sort of value, but as of right now, I'm not really sure of that. So anyway, this numerator represents how fast you can deal out the damage in your entire clip. So that's what this represents. So why is reload speed on the bottom, or also known as the denominator? Well, reload speed adds in the factor of actually how fast you can start this whole process over, because reload speed, you can't just disclude that, because if you have a weapon that has a 5-second reload, that's obviously going to have an advantage over a weapon that has like a 2-second reload. Now, some of you might also mention, well, hey, accuracy is a factor. Why isn't it in this equation? And to that, I would answer that accuracy, to me personally, is too small of a value or factor in Borderlands 2 that I don't really see the point in including it. I think these values are the most important. So now we add on the actual divided by 2's here, or fraction bar 2 as it's also called. Now, what this divided by 2 does is it makes these values less important, these two values, less important than these two values. So, for example, rate of fire and reload speed is obviously divided by 2, so it's less important. But for example, let's say we have that same revolver. It does 34 damage, and I'll just write this down here for reference. It does 34 damage, has a 9 magazine size, so that's going to be more important than a revolver. Okay, actually, let's just start this over. Let's say we have a revolver that has damage has 34, and it has a, let's go, magazine size is 9, and then we do rate of fire is, let's say, 10. If we add in those values here, and then the reload speed is, let's say, 2. So with this revolver, you're going to get a value that is higher than a revolver than, let's say, a revolver that had, let's say it has 30 damage, magazine size is 8, but its rate of fire is, let's say, 20, and its reload speed is 1. So this revolver is going to be, or have more of a value than this revolver, sorry, navigation troubles there, than this revolver, simply because, what happened to the reload speed there? Simply because this revolver has more damage and more of a magazine size, even though this revolver has more of a rate of fire and then more reload speed. So that's just why that is in place. So I'll just totally ignore these for right now. So what I have down here is some examples, actually 2 examples, of actually figuring out a value of a gun in Borderlands 2. Now, if we look at a picture or a screenshot of this in-game that I took, you will see that all of the stats are here. I'm not including accuracy, obviously, but damage is 24 by 15 pellets, fire rate is 12.5, reload speed 2.3, magazine size is 4, which I have actually recorded in my notepad file. So we don't need to, we don't actually need to worry about these values because they're right here. If I just delete this, so. And then we go to our second example, the assault rifle. So all of the damage and stats are recorded in the notepad file. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what about these bottom stats? Well, these are important in some cases, but we're going to be talking about very basic aspects, pretty much just body shotting people. This plus 72% critical hit damage is obviously important, but we're just going to assume that you're not going to be doing crits. Now, keep in mind, though, that doing crits is a good factor to remember in sniper rifles, being pretty much 1 out of every 2 of your sniper rifle shots are going to be a critical hit. So definitely for your damage, I would recommend averaging a body shot and then a headshot with a sniper rifle to get the actual damage that your sniper is going to be doing, because that will be its average damage. Now, we can ignore these consumes 3 ammo per shot and fires as fast as you can pull the trigger, because what this bottom stat says is pretty much that it has a high fire rate. You can just ignore that because it's already telling you something that you already know. And then this consumes 3 ammo per shot. You might think, oh, hey, its magazine size is 2 because I can only fire it 2 times because it consumes 3 ammo per shot. Obviously, your first shot is going to have 3, which leaves you with one shell actually in your magazine. Well, actually, you can ignore that because statistically, when you fire that first shot, which takes up 3 shells, that is doing 3 times what you would be doing if you only fired that 1 shell when you have that 1 shell left in your magazine. So pretty much this all evens out, and for now we can ignore the 72% critical hit damage, although that is very important if you're going for headshots. So if we go back to our assault rifle here, this has very basic bottom stat. You know, it's made by Jacobs, so it's pretty basic. And if you're wondering, by the way, why these are such low-level requirements, it's because it's nice to have simplified weapons, and then also I was using my new Maya character over here, so I didn't feel like I don't know, switching accounts and going to my level 30 Axton. So I just wanted to use a lower level for simplicity, and also you get lower values. So if we actually figure out the value of these individual weapons, we can actually do that. So bring up our calculator here. For the shotguns, so let's actually figure out the value. So first of all, you have the damage. Now, each gun really matters by itself, because with shotguns, you have to assume that for the full damage To do full damage, this damage is if you do a meat shot, which means that all pellets hit the enemy that you're aiming at. So this is very important, and keep in mind that you're not always going to be doing a meat shot. So we could figure out the value of what you would be doing for a meat shot by actually doing 24 times 15 to get the total damage. But for now, let's just say that we're going to be doing 24 times, let's say 11, because you're not always going to get all 15 pellets on the guy, and I think a 3/4 average would be a good estimate. So 264 is the total damage, so that's this part of the equation. Now if we multiply it by magazine size, which is 4, we get a different value. Multiply that by the rate of fire divided by 2, which is 6.25. We'll get 6600, and then divide that by reload speed divided by 2. Once again, the rate of fire and the reload speed are each individually not as important as the damage and magazine size. So we will divide that by the reload speed divided by 2, which is actually 1.15, being 2.3 divided by 2 is 1.15. So this is the value of our shotgun. I'll write this down, 5739. Oops. 5739. So this is the value of the shotgun, assuming that you're hitting 3/4 of the pellets 100% of the time. Now if we figure out the assault rifle, once again, like I said before, each individual weapon varies. This is the type of assault rifle, and this may not be the best example, but I think that's actually a good thing. So with this assault rifle, you are assuming, or the average person might assume that, hey, you have to multiply 37 by 3 to get the actual damage of the assault rifle, and that is actually not true, because with this assault rifle, this times 3 represents that you are actually shooting 3 bullets per each pull of the trigger. So it acts like a mini shotgun. So you definitely don't want to multiply these values, because this just represents that you're shooting more than 1 bullet at once, because the real damage is 37. So we have to stick with that actual damage. So if we multiply 37, which is the damage, times magazine size, which is 19, times rate of fire divided by 2, which is 10.1, we will get 7100.3 divided by reload speed divided by 2, which is 1.55, and we get 4580. So we can say that these two values are the actual values of these weapons individually. Now, one other quick note is that these values do represent something in-game. I'm not sure currently at this moment, but I can say with probably about 60%, I don't even know, 60% accuracy, that this value probably represents how fast you can deal out the damage in your magazine, which is the numerator, per time that you have to reload. So I think that this value actually represents something like that. But anyway, so moving on. So you might notice that the assault rifle is valued less than the shotgun, which is true, but once again, with the shotgun, we're assuming that you're hitting 3/4 of the pellets, and you're not always going to be hitting 3/4 of your pellets with your shotgun, because you might get more of a mid-range. So you have to be really kind of careful with these values. They're not super absolute. They're more of a rough estimate. So I would actually, let's actually just simplify this even further, and let's put this at the mid 4,000s. Oops, 400s, 4,000s. And then we'll just put this at the mid 5,000s. So why is the shotgun worth more than the assault rifle? Well, like I said before, you're going to be doing a lot of damage up close if you do hit 3/4 of your pellets, but we can say that the shotgun in close quarters is probably more valuable, just because this is, once again, for like the third time, you're averaging that you're going to be hitting a lot of your pellets. So obviously with the shotgun, you're going to be doing a lot of damage, which does increase its actual value as a weapon. Now, with in terms of like benchmarks for how different these are, for lower level weapons such as level 5, which is what I am right now, or at least for these two examples, I'm around level 5. In terms of benchmarks, the relatively same valued guns will be within about 300 of each other, whereas if you're like a higher level, like the relatively same weapons will probably be around 3,000 of each other, just because of the inflation of all of these stats. I mean, once you get to like level 50, this damage is just astronomical. I mean, you're going to be doing what, like 24,000 damage or something ridiculous like that. So you can't always just stick with like low level benchmarks. Just kind of a quick note there to just keep in mind. So yeah, that is pretty much all of what I really wanted to explain with this whole equation. Once again, this is a sort of rough estimate, and by that I mean that these divided by 2 values could actually be like divided by 1.5. Maybe reload speed is more important than I thought, and maybe only divided by like 1.5, or maybe rate of fire is more important than reload speed, so you divide this by, let's say, 1.25. But for now, I think that divided by 2 is a good starting point. So that is a pretty accurate representation of what I would say is a value equation to actually value guns in Borderlands 2. And I mean, in that game, the whole reason why I made this equation up is that in that game, it is really annoying to have like 2 similar weapons, like a revolver that does like 70 damage, and then like an assault rifle that does like 20 damage per shot, and you're just like, well, technically with the assault rifle, you're firing it on full auto, and it might have a fast rate of fire, but with the revolver, can't talk today. You're doing 70 damage per shot, so it's really annoying to try to figure out actual value of weapons, which is why I made this whole thing up. And I do actually have some gameplay clips of what I recorded in game. I tried to make the circumstances as fair as possible as to how I would go about testing these weapons to actually see if maybe the shotgun does do better than the assault rifle. So I actually went up against a badass psycho. Excuse me. I went up against a badass psycho, and I used what is the power called? I can't even remember. It's whatever Maya has for her superpower. I used that on the badass psycho to make sure that he would just stay there, and I could get meat shots on him and try not to headshot him and make the circumstances unfair. But these are sort of rough estimates on how both weapons perform. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed, and that's pretty much all for now.
I want to see you from these shackles!
Wasn't my time!
So there you guys can see that the shotgun did perform much more admirably, but keep in mind that the circumstances, as much as I tried to make them the same, they were different all in themselves. And like, the shotgun was made for close quarters, and I was in close quarters, so obviously it's going to have the advantage there. With the assault rifle, I couldn't get enough distance on him so that he couldn't hurt me, and also I was in second wind most of the time with the shotgun, and with the assault rifle I was in second wind most of the time, and with the shotgun I think I got like 2 headshots on him, which also increased the rate at which that badass psycho died. So yeah, just feel free to write down that equation, guys. Go to a past part of the video. It's just a good way of figuring out the value of guns in Borderlands 2. But other than that, that will pretty much wrap up the video. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a rating. I would appreciate that as well. Being yeah, just kind of a lot of work went into making this commentary and figuring all this out, and yeah, that's pretty much all for the video. Feel free to subscribe. I don't post a lot of Borderlands 2 anymore, but yeah, I do Team Fortress 2 videos, so if you like TF2, feel free to subscribe because I bring a lot of that, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.